In 2006, NASA successfully launched the New Horizons spacecraft into space. The mission aims to explore Pluto, located at the outer edge of our solar system. This journey will take at least 9 years and cost $700 million. At the time, some wondered why NASA was so eager to spend so much on a distant planet when we hadn't fully explored the Moon or Mars. NASA had never directly addressed this question. 9 years fly by quickly. Now, New Horizons is just 10 days away from Pluto. This event captures global attention because it's the first time humanity can observe Pluto up close. Everyone is excited. But at this critical moment, New Horizons detects an unidentified object, Orion, spinning at an incredible speed. This defies all expectations. A scientist notes that Orion isn't torn apart, indicating its structure is far from ordinary.
Orion is spinning so fast that the centrifugal force could actually tear it apart.
NASA decides to get closer to Orion to determine what it really is. Strangely, just as New Horizons is about to reach Orion, NASA loses contact with the spacecraft. The situation at NASA is chaotic. One of scientists can barely believe what's happening.
When you're a mission operator, it's really one of the last things that you want to see. You're very concerned that there could be something seriously wrong with your spacecraft, and it's jeopardizing the mission. It does beg the question, is someone or something trying to jam NASA's signal?
In over 9 years of space travel, New Horizons had never experienced anything like this, except when approaching Orion. This leads many people to speculate that Orion might be an alien spacecraft headed towards Earth. Despite this, the focus should shift to a more pressing matter. Evidence suggests that aliens have visited Earth long before. They even showcased their power to the world's leading nation, but the US government has denied all claims. The denial serves a deeper purpose. Today, we'll peel back the layer and document the entire history of UFO encounters known to humanity. Akashic records will strive to present the events as accurately as possible. After watching, you might find your perspective challenged. Let's explore the history of aliens. Hi everyone, I'm Akashic Records. In 2007, a video showing a fighter jet chasing a UFO was uploaded by a user on an American UFO and conspiracy forum. The uploader claimed to have obtained the video while serving on a US aircraft carrier, adding to its credibility. However, many online users doubted its authenticity, with some suggesting it was a student film prank and others criticizing the video's poor quality. What shocked people was that 10 years later, the New York Times revealed the video was genuine and had testimony from witnesses. Following this, in 2019, the US Navy spokesperson finally confirmed the video's authenticity.
There's a whole fleet of them. Look on the ASA. My gosh.
Suddenly, a video once dismissed as fake gained widespread recognition. The impact of this revelation was astonishing. Under the direction of then President Donald Trump and the US National Intelligence, a historic move was made, the release of a report on UFOs. However, instead of calling them UFOs or unidentified flying objects, the report referred to them as UAPs, or unidentified aerial phenomena. But don't overlook this change in terminology. It means that while the US acknowledges the presence of something in the sky, they consider it merely a phenomenon, suggesting it could be an optical illusion caused by atmospheric conditions or shadow set. However, what is highly inconsistent with the title they presented is that in the report on these unidentified aerial phenomena, US intelligence listed 144 UAP incidents, in which 18 show advanced technology. Some UAP appeared to remain stationary in winds aloft, move against the winds, maneuver abruptly, or move at considerable speed without discernible means of propulsion. Does the US really still want to label these objects with advanced technology, unidentified aerial phenomena? But perhaps that's still an improvement, because in the past, they would always call them weather balloons, and these weather balloons once even had a major conflict with the US several decades ago. While many once made fun of the idea of aliens and UFOs, it's clear things are changing. Experts even calculate that in the vast universe, Earth is unlikely to be the only planet with life. So what caused such a dramatic shift in human attitudes toward this topic over the decades? In the past, people not only didn't consider the possibility of life elsewhere in the universe, but the term flying saucer hadn't even been coined. At 2:25 a.m., February 25th, 1942, in Los Angeles. Usually quiet was suddenly jolted by air raid sirens, and an immediate blackout was ordered. Shortly after, numerous glowing objects appeared in the sky. These objects weren't arranged in rows and didn't make any engine sounds like aircraft. Since it was World War II, the US military initially feared a Japanese attack and quickly turned on searchlights. To their surprise, the searchlights revealed a stationary, strange object in the sky, surrounded by dozens of small, moving craft. The US military, while puzzled, was engaged in active combat and had no time for further analysis. They immediately fired anti-aircraft artillery at the glowing object. The intense gunfire turned Los Angeles into a scene of chaos. By sunrise, the city returned to calm. However, despite a night of heavy bombardment, Los Angeles residents found that no enemy aircraft had been shot down, only spent artillery shells littered the streets. Even more bizarre, then Navy Secretary Frank Knox later called the incident a case of shadow chasing, claiming no enemy aircraft was detected. So what was it? At that time, many people witnessed the unidentified flying object in the sky. Some media outlets even captured photos from different angles, leading many to reject the US military's explanation. In 1948, the US sent Major William Goss to announce to the public that after years of research, they determined that what had attacked Los Angeles that night was merely a weather balloon. This statement sparked outrage. People questioned how a weather balloon could move at high speeds and hover in the air. The bigger question is, if it really was just a weather balloon, why did the US military fire on it? What's even stranger is that, despite firing over 1,400 anti-aircraft shells that night, they found no debris from any balloon on the ground. The US insists it was all just a misunderstanding, wasting over 1,400 shells. Plus, back then, no one thought aliens might visit America during World War II. So, this incident remained unresolved until 1947. 1947 is a pivotal year in UFO history, marking the famous Roswell incident. The event gained fame when the US Air Force publicly admitted to recovering a flying disc in acknowledgement of UFOs that has never been repeated. While the Roswell incident is the most famous UFO event in history, it wasn't the first report of a UFO sighting. Back on June 24, 1947, just a week before the Roswell crash, a pilot named Kenneth Arnold was flying his private plane to Oregon. Near Mount Rainier, Arnold spotted 9 glowing objects moving at an incredible speed. He noticed that these objects sometimes flew in a straight line, sometimes in a wave-like pattern with speeds varying from extremely fast to very slow. At first, Arnold thought they might be new military aircraft, but he quickly realized their speed was beyond anything known at the time. Curious, Arnold used the distance between the mountain ranges to calculate the speed of the objects. The result stunned him. They were traveling at 1,200 miles per hour, twice as fast as the world's fastest jet at the time, the F-80. Shocked, Arnold reported the sighting to the airport, even blurting out that he had seen flying saucer. This was the birth of the term flying saucer. The next day, media outlets ran with the story, featuring bold headlines. The US military responded by saying they had no missions in the Mount Rainier area on June 24th, suggesting Arnold must have been mistaken. However, this explanation couldn't satisfy the public given Arnold's experience as a pilot and the clear weather conditions that day. Arnold even sketched the flying saucers. What's more, a few days later, others in the same area also spotted the 9 glowing objects, and one person captured a photograph. The image matched Arnold's sketch perfectly, making the public skeptical of the military's explanation. What's even more shocking is that right after Arnold's sighting, the number of UFO sightings skyrocketed. Yet the US Air Force kept insisting that these were all just public misconceptions. But the truth seems different. Many of the UFO witnesses included high-ranking government officials, military generals, and scientist people with knowledge and credibility. Could they all be mistaken? In reality, both the US government and the public were deeply confused. The tension was so high that they even formed a special group to investigate these UFO events, though everything was kept secret. By the end of 1947, after the Los Angeles incident and the Roswell crash, the White House realized something was off. They noticed that some UFO sightings couldn't be dismissed as mere illusions, especially since radar had also detected these objects. It's impossible for both people and radar to malfunction at the same time. In reality, during the so-called Battle of Los Angeles, radars at 3 different locations detected something entering Los Angeles airspace. Moreover, declassified documents revealed that the US discovered several flying saucers had agility and evasive maneuvers. The investigator in that report confirmed that these sightings were definitely not natural phenomena. Despite this, top US officials still didn't believe these UFOs were alien technology. It just seemed too unrealistic. Initially, the US suspected the Soviet Union standing behind everything and these could be secret Soviet weapons. After multiple meetings, the US launched Project Sign with the primary goal of determining whether these flying saucers posed a national security threat. Notably, Edward James Ruppel, one of the military officials involved in the investigation, suggested in his report that based on their findings, the best explanation for many UFO incidents was that these flying saucers were of interstellar origin. Unfortunately, the Pentagon later dismissed this report. In 1949, the US quickly shut down Project Sign and launched Project Grudge, an effort aimed at dispelling public fears about UFOs. Their method was overly simplified, and unrefined circular UFOs were sunlight reflections, cigar-shaped crafts were meteors, and groups of flying saucers were just hailstorms. In short, they attributed everything to natural phenomena. This so-called insult to human intelligence explanation was met with widespread rejection, sparking public outrage. Aware of the poor results, the U.S. swiftly ended Project Grudge and initiated Project Blue Book. This time, they claimed the project's goal was to scientifically analyze UFO data and encouraged witnesses to speak out. Many people were hopeful, believing that the government was finally taking the UFO issue seriously. However, after 17 years of investigation, Project Blue Book's conclusion left many disappointed. They found no evidence that UFOs posed a national security threat or that these sightings involved technology beyond modern science. Based on these findings, Project Blue Book officially ended in 1969. What's contradictory is that during their investigation, Project Blue Book looked into 12,618 UFO incidents, with 701 cases labeled as unexplained mysteries. In fact, evidence suggests that more than 1,700 cases involved phenomena that couldn't be explained. If even one of those had been proven to originate from another planet, our history would need rewriting. Still, Project Blue Book ended up attributing everything to natural phenomena. Even today, in reports on UAPs, we often see conclusions pointing to natural causes. The problem is, if these are natural phenomena, why can't they be clearly explained after decades of investigation? Beyond the usual natural phenomena explanation, there's an interesting case. On May 24, 1947, by the Rogue River in Oregon, a group of 6 friends went fishing, but instead encountered a UFO. According to their descriptions, the UFO hovered silently in the air as if it were observing them. The witnesses noted that the UFO had a smooth exterior with markings on the sides, something protruding on top, but lacked any exhaust that a typical aircraft would have. At that time, after receiving this case, Project Blue Book immediately launched an investigation. Their conclusion was that it was an airplane. However, what's strange is that 2 of the 6 witnesses worked at an airport. Could they really have mistaken a plane for something else? More importantly, these 6 individuals never went public about their UFO encounter, which is crucial. If this were just a prank, you'd expect them to seek attention. But the truth is, the public only learned about this sighting when Project Blue Book revealed it. In other words, they weren't trying to attract attention. So the question remains, was what they saw really just an airplane? On July 19, 1952, at 11:40 p.m., radar at Washington International Airport suddenly detected multiple unidentified flying objects. The radar operator, knowing there were no scheduled flights at that time, immediately contacted a nearby military base to see if they were conducting flight exercises. So the answer was no. At the same time, reports started coming in from various areas around Washington, confirming that many people had witnessed these mysterious objects. According to witnesses, the objects emitted light, flew at varying speeds, made sharp 90-degree turns, and even hovered as if showing off their flying capabilities. During this time, they flew over several restricted military zones, including the White House and the Capitol, causing enough alarm for the U.S. to scramble several F-94 jet fighters. But when the jets arrived at designated location, the objects had already vanished at incredible speeds. The radar operator also confirmed that the unidentified objects had disappeared from the radar, proving that the radar was functioning correctly and that these objects indeed existed, no doubt about it. This event sent shockwaves through the U.S. government, triggering a state of heightened alert. Top officials were urgently summoned to the White House. However, despite a night of panic, there were no reports of hostile action from the unidentified flying objects. Since these objects had breached the airspace over the nation's capital, the next day, major media outlets provided extensive coverage. As the public speculated about what these airborne objects could be, the UFOs made a second appearance on July 26th. In just 1 week, these large-scale sightings occurred twice, forcing the U.S. government to issue an official response. On July 31st, 1952, the Pentagon held its largest press conference since World War II. At that time, John Alexander Samford, Director of Air Force Intelligence, confidently addressed the public.
I'm here to discuss the so-called flying saucers.
He claimed that what had twice caused chaos over Washington, D.C. was not a fleet of flying saucers.
Of this great mass of reports, we have been able adequately to explain the great bulk of them, explain them to our own satisfaction. We've been able to explain them as hoaxes, as erroneously identified friendly aircraft, as meteorological or electronic phenomena, or as light aberrations.
Does that explanation sound strange to you? They completely overlooked the fact that these light sources somehow moved from the White House to the Capitol. Even stranger, scientists from Project Blue Book, who were responsible for investigating these events, classified them as unsolved mysteries. In 2022, the U.S. Congress held a hearing on UAP. During this hearing, They emphasized that UAPs could pose a national security threat and called for an end to the stigma surrounding those who have experienced UFO or WAP encounters. Congressman Andrew Carson even urged people not to ridicule or stigmatize these individuals. The hearing went so far as to overturn the conclusions of Project Sign and Project Blue Book, acknowledging that UAPs do indeed present a national security issue. This hearing has sparked excitement as it's the first WAP-related meeting Congress has held in 50 years. But the real question is, why has the U.S. suddenly shifted its stance? Some say it's because the truth can no longer be hidden. Others believe that with more transparency and the public's growing acceptance of UFOs and extraterrestrials, the U.S. government had no choice but to change its approach. But is it really that simple? In the past, the U.S. went to great lengths to deny these phenomena, using flimsy excuses like weather balloons for the Roswell crash or searchlights for the Washington incident. So why the sudden shift? Although the U.S. hasn't given a direct answer, one thing is clear: information once dismissed as fake could become acknowledged facts. If the rumors about Area 51 were eventually confirmed, could those significant events from the past also be recognized one day? Who knows, maybe in the not-too-distant future we'll all get the chance to see extraterrestrials for ourselves. What do you think? Share your thoughts in the comments below. That's it for today's episode. If you found this video or any of the content on Akashic Records helpful, please share it with a friend who might be interested. Thank you so much. Goodbye, and see you next time.